Welcome back to Positively Uncensored, your favorite reality TV and interview podcast. It's your host, Leah, and today we're going to be diving into Love Island episode 19 and episode 20. I know that I'm a couple of episodes behind, but I'm going to dive through this quickly. I want to hear all of your thoughts, so make sure that as you're listening, you're leaving some comments, whether you're listening on Spotify, whether you're listening on YouTube. I want to hear all of your thoughts. Now, episode 19 was the fallout of Jeremiah and Hannah getting sent home in the episode before. And the house was shook after this. And for once, you can't blame America because we did not make this vote. So the episode starts with Ace sitting next to Shelly. He has his arms crossed. He looks a little bit displeased about the fact that they didn't send Amaya home. While he never explicitly says that, not in any of the edit that we see, Shelly is explaining the reasons why she felt like it was worthwhile to keep Amaya. When this happened, it sort of reminded me of last season when the guys were trying to convince the girls to send home Janae, their reason being that she didn't have any connections in the villa at the time. And then afterwards, Rob, Aaron, multiple people were sulking and they were like, Janae should have went home. That's sort of what this instance reminded me of, although it's not completely the same. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments. Now, I think it's TJ who asks the guys, or maybe it's Pepe, can you explain why you chose to send home Jeremiah? And Taylor says that it was at the point where he didn't know who was the problem. He didn't know if Huda was the problem, if Jeremiah was the problem. And I guess to nip their relationship in the bud, he just decided to send Jeremiah home, who was up for elimination, and get rid of it. Now, what Jeremiah says in his interviews is that he feels like he was competition with the guys as soon as he got with Andrina. I think there was a little bit of jealousy. So why not send, if this is a game and if everybody wants to win, why not send home who's their biggest competition? I think their reasoning is pretty flimsy because I think that Jeremiah's probably right. Okay, but also larger than that, I think that Jeremiah can share blame in the fact that he wasn't an excellent communicator. I think it's hard to be an excellent communicator and apply the therapy that you've been in. I think it's hard to do this when you're emotionally fatigued, running on very little sleep. I'm sure it's hard for every person in that villa. Okay, but that's where he's guilty and feeding into it a little bit. But I think that it was obvious that Huda was the one who was having these, as everybody has deemed it, crash outs or blow ups on Jeremiah throughout the season. So I kind of felt like that was flimsy reasoning. Let me know what you think. Oh, you know what? I misspoke earlier. Ace asks outright, "Why did you not pick Amaya?" And she says, and Amaya's feeling badly about this. She knows that people wish that she should have gone home. So she's talking to the girls, she's crying, she's feeling guilty. And Huda gives her some sort of pep talk where she's like, we made this decision. We love you. Now, Austin thought he was going home because he should have. Austin should have gone home. Okay. If we want to talk about no connections in the villa, at that point, Austin, you have none. You have none. Um, Now, I'm going to be honest. I think I was probably a little bit unfair towards Hannah early on in the season. I was a little bit uninvested in her journey. As things go on, I'm like, okay, I've always said Hannah's doing Love Island correct. She is doing things the right way. She's forming connections. She's keeping things light. She's having fun with things. She was going about things the right way. So I did think it was interesting that Sierra said that she's seen more effort from both Iris and Amaya than Hannah, because I did see a considerable bit of effort from Hannah to make the best of her situation. Charlie got sent home. And so then she's coupled up with Pepe, which that was our fault. Well, we did that. Misread signals. My bad, Hannah. But so she was coupled up with Pepe. She leaned into that connection, formed a connection with him. And I thought that that was like a pretty solid effort to stay in this experience, since one night she acted like the tooth fairy was coming and she put Charlie's pillow, or she put Charlie's picture under her pillow as if he was going to appear in the morning. I think that she was able to turn things around, arguably. So Austin should have gone home. I was surprised by Sierra saying that. Nick and Sierra have a conversation where they're talking about sleeping in bed. Sierra rolled over. They had no contact. Nick didn't try to check on her because he didn't feel like he should sort of like give in to Sierra's behavior. If she's not going to tell him what's wrong, then he's not going to ask. And they talk about that. And he's like, you know what? I did miss you. If you were trying to get me to miss you, I missed the back rubs. I missed being with you. And at this point, they're clearing things up. We see Austin have a conversation with the guys where he admits that he has still not been clear on his feelings with Amaya. It's interesting that they decided to keep Austin when he's arguably made no effort. You talk about not making effort. He's made no effort this entire time. He rode Shelly's coattails, then he coupled up with Amaya and he was immediately put off from her. All we've seen him do is clean the pool and complain. Okay. So go be clear. I think that that's such like a weak thing of him to do. He's the type of guy who would probably drone on about being an alpha, all this, blah, 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 blah. But let's be clear. Anybody who thinks they are preserving a woman's feelings by not being honest with her, that's a disservice to both parties, okay? So many men avoid having hard conversations. One, because they don't have the language. Two, because they would rather not sit in that discomfort. They don't want to wear the label of being a bad person. But it's like learn how to communicate. Learn how to communicate. After Nick and Sierra have a conversation where they talk about how they had a little bit of a communication lapse. He's feeling more mature that day. So when TJ drops off tea for Sierra, he decides to not be petty that morning and not throw it away. Small steps, right? Small steps. Now, all of the couples are lounging and they get a text and they're told that they're going to play a kissing game. They're lounging by the pool. I got a text and they think that they're going to be doing a kissing challenge with each other. And Ace is like to Shelly, don't piss me off. Little do they know, everybody's going to Casa. Not everybody. The girls are going to Casa. The guys are staying in the villa. Tell me if you think that after watching a few episodes this season, if it's really even made a difference that the girls were the ones who were allowed to go to Casa. I never really thought that it would. I remember saying, I wish the girls could go to Casa, but I think I knew that it just wouldn't really change things. The guys are just going to lean more into the experience because that's how guys are. It doesn't matter if they're sleeping in the same beds that they've been sleeping in this entire time. Like they'll still lean into that experience. So the guys are blindfolded, and as they're waiting to have their kisses, the girls sneak off to the villa. Tell me if you guys think at what point they knew what was going on. At what point do you think that they realized that they were not kissing their girls? The reason why I'm wondering this is TJ and Nick were assholes during this game, total assholes. And I think that, to be fair, they could probably be assholes in general. But I wonder if they were knowing that they were ranking different girls that way. I wonder if they were trying to push them off. I'm not sure. Tell me what you think in the comments. Anyways, we meet the cast. I took like a few notes on people here and there. Grayson came in initially interested in Nick. She's a model for an energy drink company. Clark is 24. She keeps her cards close to her vest. She says that she's coming in for a few different people. Somebody tell me in the comments what her job is. I'm going to have to look into an article and see where she says it. I played it back a couple times and my caption said pyramid tour, which I'm not entirely sure what that is. I think she also talked about being a cheerleader, so I'm not sure if it's like pyramid for cheerleading or something different, like potentially like a historian, architecture. You let me know. Vanna is 21. She's a social media director and she came here interested in Ace. I just want to say people's comments are a lot, specifically degrading her appearance. And just being a reasonable person, let's just take a step back. Okay. This is a real person. She's going to get out of the villa. A lot of the things are about her looks, but people who get filler, who get Botox, who start these things young, I have to acknowledge the fact that they grow up with more insecurities. Like people do this because they're coming from being insecure. So I'm feeling for her, the fact that she's going to come out and see the response of things. At first, the memes were funny. After I saw more than 5, I started to think, wow, this would be really difficult to see for somebody who came in, was selected as a bombshell and put on TV. I think we could all benefit from just being a little bit kinder. On to Coco. She's 24 years old. She's a makeup artist and she does hair. She is stunning, absolutely stunning. Jaden comes in. She's 25. She's a corporate investigator. For some reason, Jaden reminded me of like, she's very Zoe 101. Like, she reminds me sort of like if they were to recast the role of Nicole, they would probably cast somebody like Jaden. I don't know if you felt that way. If you did, put it in the comments. Each girl kisses the guys one by one, and the guys don't know who they're kissing, and they provide rankings for the girls. Now, we watched 35 minutes of this, and then the girls didn't get to do the same. Do I think this was a waste of time? Yes. Do I think that the guys were given a leg up because they actually had time to kiss every single person and didn't just pick two people that they were most interested in? Because as I just said, Grayson came in initially interested in Nick. And then she ends up picking a different person. And she probably did that after kissing every single person. So I think that you could sort of change your expectations based off of who you have chemistry with. So I wish that they could have at least given us the breakdown. Okay. Now, most of the girls are rated pretty high, but what we're going to note is that three people up there who may or may not be Republicans tried to humble the girls. TJ, Austin, Nick, maybe. If you're seeing what's going around on Twitter, I don't know, maybe. So you don't get the girl. You don't get the girl by being rude. TJ was an asshole during the entirety of the game. Austin rated Clark's kiss a 4.6. The fact that when Coco went, she barely paid any attention to Austin, Nick, and TJ. Austin got a body kiss. She did not kiss him on the lips. Nick got a body and neck kiss, no lips. TJ got barely a peck. I loved that. Yes. Ignore them. Pay them no attention. Vanna and TJ had a kiss. She comes away saying that there was zero chemistry between them, which is interesting, knowing what happens at the end of episode 19. Now, the bombshell girls get to stand on the heart of the guy who they're interested in. They've just kissed all of them and they get to stand on the heart. Both Nick and TJ are left alone, not chosen. Wish that was the case for Austin as well, but Jaden stands on his heart. And Taylor is with two options, which I think left a lot of us surprised. Surprised, to say the very least. Ariana shades TJ. He's like, I was just really honest during this game. And she was like, well, thank God the girls were honest right back with you. Ariana kills at being a host. After they couple up, we see the girls talking to the guys and them learning a little bit about each other. We learn that Jaden is from the town right next to Forks, Washington, which is interesting because I have been watching Twilight the last 3 rainy weekends in a row. I'm just going to be honest. They're sitting there and the guys are sort of revealing who's in a strong connection. I don't know whether they led with that or whether the girls asked who here is in a strong connection, but Ace says for sure he has a very strong connection with Shelly. Nick says, I'll do my thing with each and every one of you, which I thought was like red flag. Also just not very respectful. Nick has shown multiple times where he's just not very respectful. And Taylor says, I had a strong connection with Landria. I forget who calls him out on this. I think it was Ace saying had is crazy. That's past tense. So whether that's a Freudian slip or whether he truly didn't mean to say that. Pepe has a conversation with Grayson. I think he's missing Hannah because it's the person who looks the most like Hannah that's in that villa. As soon as Ace was coupled up with Vanna, we immediately see him in a confessional say, bring back my Shelly. So I don't think that Vanna was the bombshell to get Ace to turn his head. Also, initially Nick is coupled up with Clark, but we see him saying that Jaden stands out the most to him. So it's clear that he's going to try to get with Jaden, whom is currently coupled up with Austin. Now, Austin and Jaden are two weirdos. They simultaneously both pull their lips down to reveal that they have a tattoo that basically completes each other. One says fuck, one says baby. I'm like, okay, you guys are idiots. You're both perfect for each other. She's not really an idiot. I know that she works in like investigation of some sort. I also don't think that she's done a background check on Austin. I think that was like a cheeky thing that they made her say in the episode. Now, will she care when she finds out about Austin? I don't know. We could put the odds at 80-20, 80% no, she won't care, 20% that she will. We will see. Now we check in with the girls at Casa Amor. Again, I think that like they're putting little to no effort into the girls this season. Like, I first of all, let me just say, I love the fact that they brought Meg Thee Stallion, but I just feel like this season has been very male centered. Like, aside from that, all of the girls are at Casa, and their first game is they're popping a balloon with a dart. And again, like I said, I think it's a disservice that they only got to kiss two guys. I'm not going to go through what every single question is, but Amaya has a kiss with Zach with a K and Chris. Huda kisses Elon and Brian. Brian picks her up. So initially, I thought that they were going to couple up. Sierra also kisses Brian and Elon, who kind of looks like Nick, the closest one who looks like him in the villa. Alandria, I believe, kisses Elan and Kit and Chris. I let me know in the comments if I have that wrong. Shelly has a kiss with Zach and Chris, and Andrina kisses Zach and Brian. Zach with a C. Of course, there's two Zachs. Now, the guys are able to step on the heart of a girl with the best connection. And then, if the girl has more than one option, she's able to decide who she wants to couple up with. Again, like I said, I feel like this season is very male centered because how are you going to send the girls to Casa and act like it's a great time? And then they don't even get to control who they couple up with? What do you mean? So Amaya is not chosen during this game. She is single and vulnerable. Huda is picked by JD. Sierra and Elan couple up. Like I said, basically she has a type. He looks like Nick. Maybe she doesn't have a type, but she's interested in like another Nick, basically. Alandria was also alone and not chosen. Shelly has two options in this game because both Chris, this guy who is 6'8", and Zach K stand on her heart. Iris has Zach with a C, and Brian couples up with Andrina. Now, there is a decision where Zach is pulled away because Shelly ultimately decides to couple up with Chris, and he has an option to couple up with somebody else. Now, initially, he ends up coupling up with Alandria because he says that he enjoyed her answer about mental stimulation. So the two of them couple up in episode 19. Now, TJ, who is left alone, asks Vanna to go for a chat. He leads with flattery despite the fact that he just rated her very poorly, and they said that they had no connection in the kissing game. Olandria and Zach K have a chat. We learn more about her, which is interesting. Even though I think that they don't have any chemistry between the two of them, we're still able to learn more about her than we've sort of learned about her with her conversations with Taylor. I've learned what Olandria's favorite fruit is, what his favorite fruit is, but I haven't learned very much. And that she likes to move slow, but she was raised by a single mom. I think she has 3 siblings. The thing about the bombshells that were brought in for the girls, I know that Jalen was technically Alandria's type, okay? And she wasn't interested in pursuing that. So some people may say that Alandria wouldn't have been open in Casa Amor no matter what. I think, why couldn't we have at least just seen that happen then? Okay, like, why couldn't they have at least brought in somebody who's 100% her type, like this southern country gentleman that she's looking for? If that option was there, I would have at least liked to see what would have happened, even if some people think that she wouldn't have been interested anyways. Now, I believe at some point in the conversation with Zach K, Landria tells him her boundaries that she has on physicality, how she likes to move slow, and she's really not the type who would share a kiss right away. It took her and Taylor a full week before they had a kiss. Now he hears this and he's like, well, I don't have a week. So ends up having a conversation with Amaya, and they share a little kiss together. This is the first kiss that they share together. I believe at the end of this kiss, because I know they kiss another time, I believe in episode 20. I believe at the end of this kiss, that's when he asks her to keep things a secret. And I'm like, no. Like, yes, Zach has a right to pursue whoever he wants, but no, you don't have a right to ask to keep it a secret. No, you don't, actually. That's my opinion. Now, Andrina and Brian have a makeout. It sounds like they're both really attracted to each other. Nick finally pulls Jaden for a chat because she has also been able to tell that he's been looking at her all day. He confirms, yes, I've been looking at you all day. He also flirts with her. I don't know why this would have worked on me a little bit, but he notices her diabetic pump that's on her arm. And he's like, I can help you with your Dexcom. The bar's in hell. The bar's in hell, because unfortunately that would have made me like him. Now, do I think that Nick goes after, like, Nick has too many hands and too many pots. Is he doing Love Island correctly? I guess. But it seems like Nick is just on to the next thing always. Like he can never keep his head straight. In fact, that's what I think about Nick. So that's the recap of episode 19. Moving right into episode 20. Episode 20 starts with seeing all of the conversations between the new couples, people that they're interested, people scrambling like TJ trying to find a connection. So Sierra and Elon have a conversation, and he reveals to Sierra that if he got to pick who are the two girls that he got to kiss, he would have kissed her and he would have kissed Iris. He also reveals that he loves Libras, which I think is one of the first time that I've ever heard men use a zodiac sign to describe what their type is. In this conversation, Sierra talks about how she struggled with dating guys who don't value her independence. She's really independent. She sometimes has experience with guys who want to be needed, and she doesn't need a guy in her life, but she would like to find a partner to make her life better. It sounds like Elon appreciates this, but I still have my guard up because allegedly he's a Zionist, so I'm not sure. Zach and Iris have a conversation, and he's literally not able to describe himself. Like, we learn that he's family oriented, but she's like, so tell me about yourself. And he's like, tell you about me. Me. Me, do, re, mi. Like he really took a minute there. And because I have ADHD, I kind of could see that. Also, I'm kind of like, hello, is this thing on? What's going on here? Iris has good conversation. She has good chat, good banter, as they would say in the UK. So she's really able to take any nothing burger conversation into something. That's a skill that Iris has. I forget what she said her career is, but she has the gift of gab and the gift of making people feel comfortable in their conversations. Sierra is also an excellent conversationalist. I said this about her when she came in as a bombshell. She's excellent. Was she a bombshell? I think she was. I forgot that Hannah was a bombshell until I listened to her episode on Chicks in the Office the other day, which I will be doing a separate video recapping Chicks in the Office with Hannah and Jeremiah on the bio files so that you guys can skip and just get a fast breakdown. As I said, some people in the morning are scrambling around, like TJ, who has a conversation with Grayson, and she pretty much lets him know, you dogged our kiss. Okay, you tried to humble me, and she's basically uninterested. TJ's the type of guy who thinks that girls need to earn his presence, so I don't think he's going to put too much into that or challenge that. I think he thinks he was being honest, he was being real. You're being an asshole. Katie and Huda have a conversation, and I'm not going to dogpile on Huda, so I'm just going to talk about this very quickly. In this conversation, she talks about her being a mom, and she talks about how he's obviously seen this, right? Like he already knows this. So this isn't new information that she has to revealed to him in the same capacity as Jeremiah. So how are we to really know how she would have approached this conversation if he came in having watched nothing? But in her conversation, she says that she's a mom. Nobody really cares that she's a mom. So it's something that doesn't really bother most people. And that's just very interesting because that's the opposite of what she told Jeremiah. Now, potentially she's trying to change how she moves in the villa because I don't know. Potentially, maybe she's trying to change things. I have no idea. But from what we heard her describe, being a mom was used against her. She was so nervous to disclose to everybody that she's a mom because she wanted them to get to know her first without just her being a mom attached to it. I can't really keep it straight, and I don't really think Huda can keep it straight. However, they have a conversation and bond over the fact that she says, I can be crazy. And he's like, I can be crazy. And he says that he's dated moms before. Huda says that she can't fake things. She wears her emotions on her sleeve, blah, 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 blah. They have a very surface level conversation, but Huda, as Jeremiah said, has enticing eyes. So we know that they're going to couple up. Now, on the night cam, this is the first night that all of the couples are sleeping together. The only people who hug is Brian and Andrina, and they are cozy, comfortable, clinging onto each other like spider monkeys all night. In the morning, Ace, whom is currently coupled up with Vanna but has not spoken a single word to her since coupling up, has a conversation with Coco. And their conversation is flirty. They have good chat. She has this similar, very bright, very sweet, very welcoming, soft aura like Shelley. So, number one, I think they'd be friends. Like, number one, I think that they would get along impeccably. Number two, he might be in a tough space. He might be in a tough space. Now, I picture Ace as somebody who doesn't let his guard down easily. So perhaps he's gotten to that progress enough with Shelley that he's just really going to be focused on her. But I can see some sort of connection blossoming between him and Coco at this point in the episode. Now, Elandria has a conversation with Zach K, and I think I misspoke in my prior episode. It all sort of blends together, but she tells him that she does not kiss outside of challenges. And again, this is where he panics because he's the type of guy who kisses. Like he wants to be kissing. That's the thing. Now, Elandria does something that I just wanted to point out really quickly. And Zach is basically like appreciating her, telling her this, but he doesn't necessarily seem excited about the boundary. And Elandria is like, like, thank you for understanding because some guys don't and they really push that. And I can relate to Elandria so much in that moment because I think that you say that to sort of like keep a guy in check. Like she was letting him know, like, I don't think he was really giving that much validation to accepting her boundaries. I think it was pretty clear that that's not exactly his boundary, but she was being like, like, thank you for understanding. And basically saying, also, this has been an issue for me in the past. There have been tons of guys who don't respect it. So basically, please don't be one of them. I really appreciate Alandria. I think that, as a woman, as a Black woman who has a beautiful frame, I think that people have probably over sexualized her and she's had that experience, not to speak for her. But I'm sure that she probably feels a little bit guarded about men's intentions because she is just undeniably a smoke show. She's a beautiful, beautiful woman. Now, Taylor and Clark have a conversation, and Nick and Ace are sitting there with their popcorn and watching. And they commentate and say that she probably has a better connection with Clark. And we're hearing more of their conversation. Taylor's like coming to life. She's talking about how she loves animals, how he wanted to be a vet. And Taylor's worried because he's connecting like how him and Alandria did in the beginning. Now, I think that if we're going to talk about movie night, this would be a clip that would be used. If Taylor and Alandria get back together in a couple, I think that they will absolutely show the clip of Ace and Nick talking about their relationship in the similar way that we saw Serena and Cordell be shown the clip of Kendall and I think a few other of the guys talking about her in Casa. I think that we'll see some sort of situation like that. Now, Sierra's thinking ahead. And she has been the entire time. She's had a couple of thoughts where she's spiraling, like, what the hell is Nick doing in that villa? So she's trying to keep herself distracted. And at this current moment, her worry is what's going to happen to Huda if Amaya couples up with JD? Because Amaya pulls JD for a conversation and they have a chat. But again, it just seems like I feel bad for Amaya. I want them to bring in somebody who she is their type as well. Like, I feel like the guys are giving Amaya nothing. I also think that if Sierra and Nick come back together, there's a moment where she talks about how her and Elan's chats have a lot of substance to them, and it's making her wonder if her and Nick really have that deep of chats together. If they get back together, they will show that as well as I'll have to pay more attention to the things that Nick has been saying in the villa, but they will be using that as a moment. At this point in the episode, there's a cyberbullying message that's added. Again, I think that this is about some of the comments that have been made about Vanna. Here's the thing. Everything I said, I meant, okay? I think that people shouldn't feel so comfortable going onto someone's page and commenting things about their looks. I think we do need to remember that we are all human beings, okay? However, the things that Love Island does and production companies do on TV is arguably they bully contestants for however many weeks. They exploit them on these television shows and they show clips to influence an audience's opinion, to influence the narrative, and then they hide their hands. Chris Colen loves to do this and then act like, well, come on, everybody, like you don't be saying these things or don't take things there. Meanwhile, they fed us clips that they knew would take things a certain place or that they knew would corroborate one side of a narrative. And it's like, you guys are just as guilty. So it was just a little bit like, get your own house in order. But also, yes, people shouldn't be telling other people to end their lives. People shouldn't be commenting things. The anonymity of online, I do think, is a detriment. I'm saying this as somebody who gets on here and reviews episodes and then has to be accountable for sometimes saying things a little bit too harshly, but would never send somebody a message and degrade them, nor would I go onto their account. Okay, this is the episode where Amaya and Zach share their Zach K share who's coupled up with Alandria share their second kiss, and this is the one that he says, "Let's go ahead and keep this a secret." Now, I do think the addition of that circular room that they added was cool. It's essentially like the hideaway. I also think it was where Amaya was sleeping. I'm unsure. Now, like I said, Sierra has been sick with worry multiple times, and she trots off worrying about what Nick is doing. Meanwhile, Jaden and Nick have a conversation, and she dips her heels in the pool and talks to him. I thought that was crazy. I'm like, I don't know that I've ever seen that. I don't know that I've ever seen that, that's pretty unsanitary for everybody else, just saying. I mean, maybe the chemical chlorine kills everything off. I don't know, but I was like, wow, that was crazy. Now, Nick says that he's most interested in coupling up with Jaden. With the news that they're going to be given the chance to recouple up with somebody new, this is sort of what set Sierra into her worry. And I'm a little confused. You guys tell me your thoughts in the comments. I feel like I would be more worried about somebody growing a connection, sleeping in bed with them for the entire week and things just naturally progressing over time than I would them changing and basically starting from scratch with somebody new. Now, granted, if you were of the impression that, oh, well, maybe they're coupled up with someone they don't like maybe that's what's going on, then I guess I could see a little bit of panic. But I think this entire situation, we know it's just set up to induce anxiety. In the evening, they do their recoupling event. And Shelly and Alandria have a conversation where she says that she likes Chris, but she misses Ace. And the fact that Shelly and Alandria depend on each other so much in the villa makes me extremely sad for what happens at the end of this episode. Now, Zach K, whom just told Amaya to keep things a secret, mind you, goes to JD and says, "Me and Amaya shared a kiss." And they're like, and they laugh like schoolgirls. And I'm like, question, why did she have to keep it a secret then? And why do the men have so much power this season? Why? So, because again, the men during this recoupling ceremony, they get to pick. They get to pick. Now, Amaya pulls Alandria despite being told from Zach K not to spill the news. She's like, listen, I want to be honest with you. Me and Zach K had a kiss. I'm not the type of person who would do that behind your back and not tell you. This is what happened. And Alandria notes the fact that he did not come and tell her. He wasn't being forward about that. He didn't say, hey, you know what? I really can appreciate your boundaries, but I'm here to move things faster. And I actually think that I'm getting along swimmingly with Amaya. Let's not act like men can't be better at being communicators. That's why I appreciated in Jeremiah's interview on Biofiles the fact that he takes accountability for not communicating with Huda and trying to be this Superman for her instead of saying, this is too much, too soon, and thus starting the downward spiral of their relationship. Now, Austin's nothing if not bold. He has a conversation with Jaden where he says, where are you at between me and Nick? Who do you feel like you're going to pick? And he makes it known that my intention is to pursue things. Are you? I want to make my intentions clear. My eyes are quite literally set on you and only you. Now, at this point in the episode, Ace has talked so much to Coco that I forgot that he was even coupled up with Vanna and that they would even have to do any sort of recoupling. I want to know what's going on. I want to leave about a 10% chance that the editors are doing Alandria and Taylor's relationship dirty and that he's been nothing but complimentary to her this entire time. That's why she's invested in this relationship. But from what we are seeing, and if we're being misguided, producers, you have hell to pay. Okay. It seems like Taylor has been like very forward with his compliments for both Coco and Clark during this experience, and in a way that we haven't really seen with Alandria. I don't know that he's as receptive to Alandria's boundaries as he's making it seem like he is. And I think that that will be something that he should communicate. Again, communicate. Now, all the men are basically groveling that are at the villa because they need to be chosen tonight by the women. Pick me, choose me, love me. And it is good to see a man have to ask for his safety. Now, Amaya is left standing in front of the fire pit back at Casa, and the men have to stand up and leave their current connections if they have a better connection with Amaya. Now, Zach K ends up standing up, which leaves Olandria single. At this point, Amaya is like, no, no, stop. Her reactions, her and Huda, listen, I'll give the praise where praise is due. You may attend my funeral. Please be upset about it. Please start the reactions. Please start the chorus, if you will, of wails. Please. That's what should be noted. But she's like, no, please. And Alandria says, join your man. It's okay. I'm not mad at you. I love you. I'm not mad at you. People's comments were like pissing me off. I'm gonna be honest. Like, Andrina, you just got there. Okay. Please don't comment. Like, you're so strong. Alandria doesn't have a choice but to be strong in this current moment. Okay. Also, it's okay. I'll let the comment pass. But everybody being like, oh my God, like, you're so strong. You're so strong, Alandria. It's like, okay, well, she doesn't really have a choice right now. Okay. And she goes up there and she says, listen, me and Taylor are going to find each other. Trust me. Now, we need to go back and see what the text says, okay? Because it doesn't say you're dumped from the island. People have been pointing out online. It really just sort of says pack your bags. Pack your bags. So the boys have to stand up if they have a better connection with Alandria. Again, nobody did. Okay. Alandria did not shed a tear until she was gone. She's sad about leaving Taylor, but she's confident in the fact that they are going to find each other again. I think the wrong people are going home. I know some people may disagree with me. I don't care. I feel bad. I think the wrong people are going home. Now, we're back to the boys recoupling in the villa. At risk right now is Nick, who is with Clark, whom is probably going to recouple up with Taylor. Austin, whom is with Jaden, who may couple up with Nick, and TJ, who is the lone wolf and has to grovel for safety during this week. Now, TJ stands alone, but Vanna stands up again. Ace and Vanna did not talk once since they were coupled up. I would have liked to see TJ go home. Go home and get yourself a steak dinner. Then Ace is standing up because Vanna's gone and he's alone and single, but Coco stands up. So Coco and Ace are now coupled up, which leaves Taylor alone because he was initially coupled up with Coco, to which Clark stands up, whom was currently coupled up with Nick. Are you following? So now Nick is alone because Clark stood up. Okay. And now while Nick is standing alone, I wrote in my notes, it's obvious that Jaden is going to stand up, but she does not. She does not. Okay. And Nick ends up being sent home. The men are shocked. And you know what? I'm just going to say, I think it's only fair that the men are as distraught in their villa as the girls are over at Casa. It wasn't fair that Alandria got sent home. Listen, listen, I don't want to say an eye for an eye, but at the end of the episode, we see get in, we're going shopping. Not really, but Alandria pulls up in the back seat of a Jeep with the license plate for love or something, love. And Nick, who's running out, distraught that he just got sent home, sees Alandria, acts like it's Christmas morning, runs to the car, and we have no idea what's going to happen afterwards. Now, parting thoughts after these episodes. We are watching the producers scramble real time. And it's interesting because that's what's so special about Love Island. It's live. They don't know how this season is going to end. They have some ideas of how they would like to influence things, but they don't know how this season's going to end. Because so, they cannot construct a story and have it be foolproof. They really do need to develop things and fix things as they go on. And I think that they thought a lot of their new twists would land and be awesome for this season, and they weren't. And they weren't. So, real time, I think we are watching them scramble. I also think that this season had too many twists. Too many twists. Perhaps coast more off of the success of last season and instead just do an impeccable job with casting, instead make things more fun. I think that some of the twists they've done, they fell flat. Now, I do think that Nick and Alandra are going to come back. I'm thinking it's going to be a situation where they're sitting inside of like the villa away in a hotel room and they're watching things. We get to occasionally see their reaction, and then they come back at the end of things and they're standing there and their partners are left with a decision as to whether they're going to stay with the person they coupled up with or get back with the person who comes in. It's also a possibility that they come in coupled up together and then they're basically starting fresh because potentially they see footage that they don't want to pursue a certain connection anymore. We don't know. So I think that they for sure are coming back. I don't think Jeremiah is coming back, and I don't think Hannah are coming back. I know that for Love Island UK, there was Molly who did some interviews and then was still brought back. I don't think that that's going to be the case, although I do think that we will probably be seeing Jeremiah again, whether it's eventually Netflix tries to steal him because Perfect Match has been stealing people from a bunch of different networks, or whether he comes back for Love Island Games. I think that he will be back eventually. Put all of your thoughts in the comments below. Tell me who you think should have gone home. Tell me what predictions you have for the rest of Casa. And tell me if you think that this season feels like it's on pace with last season. Does it feel like it's moving really fast? Does it feel like it's moving really slow? What feels differently? I'd love to know all of your thoughts. If you haven't already liked this video, like, subscribe, comment. Please leave me a 5-star review. I'm trying to get my reviews up. I'm trying to get my podcast out on the algorithm, and that helps a ton. If you're not following me on TikTok and on Instagram, I constantly have fun little recaps over there. And just an update for everybody who's getting a little bit sick of Love Island, I will still be recapping the Valley. I will still be talking about Next Gen NYC. I've been really enjoying that. And happy Pride Month, because Ultimatum Queer Love Season 2 dropped yesterday, the 25th of June, and I will absolutely be covering that. If you are trying to catch up and watching Season 1, let it be known that I interviewed Ozzy and Sam on my podcast. I have that interview over on YouTube, and I hope that all of you have an amazing day. Thank you for tuning in and talking about Love Island with me. Bye.